Alright guys, for this video, graphing systems of inequalities, we're going to do a little blast to the past for a minute. So we've already talked about this year of system of linear equations. We've talked about graphing linear inequalities. And now what we're going to move on to in the future is graphing linear inequality systems. Okay? So what does a system mean? A system means it has more than one graph on the same set of axes. So I want us to recap about what we already know. So let's look at this past. All right, when we had something like this, what was the solution to my system? The solution was where the lines intersected. So for this specific system, my solution would be -1, -2. All right, now let's look at our present. So now we've seen linear inequalities, and my solution here is where the shading is. Okay, so I don't like that sentence. I'm going to erase that. Let's say in the shaded region or space or area, shaded area, shaded region. All right, so let's say I pick a solution here, and that might be 0, 3. Now remember, the important part with with inequalities is we need to think about our line. If it is a dotted line and it's open, I cannot be on there for solution. In this case, it's solid, so I could be, but just to play it safe, I'm going to stick with a point that's in the shaded area. All right, so now here's my future. Where do we think the solution is going to be now? All right, so we saw systems of equations. That was where they intersected. Then we saw linear inequalities, and that was where the shaded region was. And now we have a system of linear inequalities. So now I have two inequalities, two sets of shading, two lines intersecting. Where is my solution? The solution is going to be in the double shaded region. So now we're looking at essentially where the shading intersects. So that means I can pick any point inside this shaded space. So I can pick any point in the double shaded region where the two shaded areas are intersecting. Now I want to be very careful because I already mentioned this before, but I have to remember that it used to be that intersecting point, but now it can't be for this example in particular because I have a dotted line. And that same rule applies if it's on the dotted line. It's not the point of intersection, or it can't fall on that line. So like I keep saying, just play it safe. Keep with the point in the double shaded area like this one. And that would be -3, +2. All right, so that's just a little bit of what we're going to see. So let's do an example together. All right, so inequality 1 has a less than symbol. So that means my line is going to be open, and I'm going to shade it down. It also has a slope of 2/1, so up 2/1, and a y-intercept of +1. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that. So start with my y-intercept at 1, and then I'm going to rise up 2/1, up 2/1, and I'm going to keep that pattern going until I reach the edge of my graph. Now, it's really important that we make sure to reach all the way to the end, especially when we're graphing inequalities. Okay, so it is a less than symbol. So it's going to be an open line. And less than also means I'm going to be shading in the downward region, because that is where my smaller numbers exist. All right, and don't forget, whenever we're graphing a system, we need to make sure we are labeling both things. So that is inequality number 1. I'm going to switch up my color for inequality number 2. And now we're working with a greater than or equal to. So I said that word equal, that means my line is going to be closed or solid. And greater means I'm going to be shading up. The slope is -1/3. That means down 1/3. And my y-intercept is 4. So I'm going to go to +4 to start. And my slope told me I'm going to go down 1 space and to the right 3. And I want to make sure I go to the end. So now I'm going to go backwards and continue with that pattern. Okay. It was greater than or equal to, so it is going to be a solid line. I'm going to label that as line number 2. And in this case, my shading is going to be in the upward direction. So I'm going to shade up here. When we are graphing systems, we want to make sure to label our solution as always. So it is in this double shaded area that is over here. So I'm going to make sure to put an S in that space. And let's just say it asks us to pick a point. I'm going to pick, let's say, this one. So that is 4, 5. And that's just one tiny example in a solution set. All right, if you have any questions, please enter them at the end of the video. We will see you tomorrow where we're going to practice this some more. Sounds good. Bye.